Something about this situation in Cleveland feels much bigger than a normal off-season disagreement. Because while Myles Garrett was skipping workouts and publicly questioning the direction of the franchise, Shedeur Sanders was reportedly showing up early, studying film, and quietly building momentum inside the building. And now fans think those two storylines may be connected. Not officially, not publicly, but emotionally, the internet has already started putting the pieces together. Because Garrett's frustration never sounded like it was only about losing. It sounded deeper than that, like someone who no longer trusted the organization's vision. And once Browns fans started noticing how differently the team seemed to present Watson and Shedeur publicly during minicamp, the speculation exploded. And honestly, this is the moment where the entire conversation around Myles Garrett started feeling far more serious than a normal contract dispute. Because when Garrett appeared on the Rich Eisen show, he didn't sound emotional. He sounded calm, calculated, almost exhausted. That's what caught people's attention. Usually when star athletes publicly discuss frustration with their franchise, there's anger, defensiveness, frustration boiling over. But Garrett spoke like someone who had already spent months thinking through every possible outcome. Now think about the wording he used. He said he and the organization were not aligned on where the team was headed in the near future. That's a massive statement from the face of the franchise. Because not aligned doesn't sound like a player upset over one bad season. It sounds like someone questioning the entire direction of the organization itself. Now, to be fair, Garrett repeatedly emphasized that he still loves Cleveland. That part matters. He talked about the city feeling like home. He praised the fan base. He made it clear the decision wasn't personal toward the community. But he also kept returning to one theme over and over again: winning championships. That was the core of everything he said. And once fans heard that, many immediately connected it back to the quarterback situation. Because in the NFL, franchise direction almost always comes back to the quarterback position eventually. Now here, where things became especially emotional online. Garrett openly admitted he had conversations with family, agents, and even LeBron James before making his public comments. That detail changed how many fans interpreted the situation, because it suggested this wasn't some impulsive emotional reaction. This was carefully considered. Now add in the timing. The Browns were already dealing with uncertainty around Deshaun Watson. Questions about offensive identity. Questions about coaching direction. Questions about the future overall. So once Garrett publicly started questioning the organization's trajectory, fans naturally started wondering what he was seeing internally that the public couldn't fully see yet. Again, it's important to separate confirmed facts from speculation. Garrett never publicly attacked Shedeur. He never publicly blamed Watson directly either. But fans online started connecting the dots emotionally anyway, especially once minicamp storylines around Shedeur's preparation and work ethic started spreading. And that's when the entire situation became much more complicated. Because suddenly, this wasn't only about one unhappy superstar defender anymore. It became about two completely different timelines existing inside the Browns organization at the exact same time. And honestly, this may be the real reason tension around Cleveland feels so strange right now. Because the Cleveland Browns don't seem fully committed to one direction yet. They seem split between two different realities. On one side, there's the veteran timeline. That's the world built around Deshaun Watson. Big contract, win now expectations, pressure to justify years of organizational investment. That path, says Cleveland, still believes its fastest route to contention comes from trying to make the original plan work. But on the other side, there's the younger timeline, the developmental timeline, the possibility that Shedeur Sanders could eventually become the future face of the franchise if things break correctly. And that creates tension automatically. Now, to be fair, NFL teams often carry multiple quarterback options at once. That part isn't unusual, especially when injuries and uncertainty exist. But what makes Cleveland different is how emotional the public conversation has already become around both players. Because Watson represents unfinished expectations, while Shedeur represents possibility. And fans emotionally react very differently to those two things. Now think about how that affects someone like Myles Garrett. He's not a rookie with unlimited time. He openly admitted his championship window feels finite. That matters. Elite defensive players understand careers move fast. One injury changes everything. One wasted season never comes back. So from Garrett's perspective, uncertainty at quarterback may feel far more urgent than it does to younger players or rebuilding fans. Now here, where the Shedeur storyline becomes fascinating. Reports and conversations around his preparation started spreading at the exact same time Garrett's frustration became public. Showing up early, studying film, being seen constantly inside the building. Again, those reports don't prove he's already the future starter. That would be an overreaction. But emotionally, fans started contrasting the energy around Shedeur with the uncertainty surrounding Watson's situation. And once people start comparing timelines emotionally, organizations can quickly lose control of the narrative. Now add in the rumors surrounding the quarterback room itself. The Browns reportedly not wanting to carry 4 quarterbacks long-term. Speculation about possible departures. Questions about rep distribution during camp. Suddenly, every minicamp photo and every practice clip starts getting analyzed like evidence. That's where Cleveland is right now. Not just managing football decisions, managing perception. And perception becomes dangerous when a fan base starts believing the organization itself may not fully know which direction it truly wants yet. Which leads directly into the next section. Because one reason fans keep connecting Garrett to Shedeur, specifically, is the growing belief that Garrett respects the rookie's approach far more than people initially realized. And this is where the entire story starts becoming much more emotional for Browns fans. Because the growing connection people are making between Myles Garrett and Shedeur Sanders isn't really about statistics. It's about professionalism, preparation, urgency. Now, to be fair, Garrett has never publicly declared that Shedeur should be the starter. That's important. A lot of the internet conversation surrounding this topic is speculation built from observations and timing, not confirmed statements. But several reports and discussions around minicamp painted a very specific picture of Shedeur's daily habits. Showing up early, spending extra time around the coaching offices, constantly studying film, being visible inside the building before many other players arrived. And in football culture, veterans notice that immediately, especially elite veterans, because stars like Garrett understand how rare true obsession with preparation actually is at the professional level. Now think about Garrett's mindset right now. This is a player who openly said championships matter more to him than money or Hall of Fame recognition. That's a massive statement. It tells you he's evaluating everything through one lens now. Can this organization realistically compete before his window closes? So when fans hear stories about a rookie quarterback grinding relentlessly inside the building, While the franchise itself feels unstable externally, it naturally creates a powerful emotional contrast. Now add in Garrett skipping workouts. Again, there are many possible reasons veterans miss off-season activities. Some are strategic, some are contractual, some are personal. But because Garrett's absence happened while Shedeur's preparation stories were spreading online, fans immediately started connecting the two storylines emotionally, especially after commentators began describing Shedeur as one of the most prepared young players in the building. Now again, preparation alone doesn't guarantee NFL success. Plenty of hardworking players fail. Talent and execution still decide careers. That distinction matters. But fans love quarterbacks who appear obsessed with improvement. And veterans tend to respect that mindset too. Now here, where the speculation started accelerating online. Some fans began wondering whether Garrett's frustration isn't actually directed at Shedeur at all, but at the possibility that the organization might hesitate too long to fully commit to younger solutions because of previous investments. Again, there's no confirmed evidence Garrett specifically believes that. But emotionally, many Browns fans have already built that theory into the larger story. And once fan bases begin constructing emotional narratives around locker room tension, every small detail suddenly feels symbolic. A missed workout, a practice photo, a coaching interaction. Everything becomes evidence. That's the stage Cleveland has entered now, which leads directly into the next section. Because the Browns' own media decisions during minicamp may have accidentally intensified the entire controversy even more. And honestly, this is where the story stopped being only about football. Because once the Cleveland Browns started posting minicamp content online, fans immediately began analyzing every single detail like detectives. The order of photos, who appeared first, who got highlighted most often, who looked central to the team's messaging. And that's when the internet completely exploded. Now, to be fair, teams post practice content constantly during the offseason. Most of it means absolutely nothing. Social media departments prioritize engagement, visuals, and star recognition, not secret organizational messages. That distinction matters. But emotionally, Browns fans were already hyper-focused on the quarterback situation. So once people noticed multiple photos centered around Deshaun Watson, while Shedeur Sanders appeared less prominently, theories started spreading immediately. Some fans interpreted it as proof the organization was still fully committed to Watson publicly. Others believed the Browns were trying to control the growing Shedeur hype carefully. And then the mic'd-up moment pushed things even further. Because fans noticed Shedeur wearing recording equipment during practice content production. That single detail triggered a completely different wave of reactions online. Some people viewed it positively. They argued the Browns clearly understood Shedeur's popularity and wanted to feature him more heavily in future content. But other fans reacted negatively. They felt the organization was using Shedeur's growing attention for marketing, while still refusing to fully embrace him competitively. Again, that's fan interpretation, not confirmed fact. But perception spreads fast online, especially when trust around an organization already feels shaky. Now here's the fascinating part. The actual football significance of these photos was probably minimal. But emotionally, the symbolism became enormous. Because Browns fans are already trying to figure out who this franchise truly believes in long term. And when organizations operate in uncertainty, even harmless details start looking meaningful. Now think about the timing again. Myles Garrett skipping workouts. Watson remaining a central public figure. Shedeur generating excitement online. fans questioning ownership decisions. All these storylines started colliding simultaneously. That's why ordinary minicamp photos suddenly turned into national football discussions. Now here, where things become especially dangerous for organizations. Once fans begin believing there's a disconnect between public messaging and internal reality, skepticism grows rapidly. Every post gets dissected. Every rep distribution becomes controversial. Every media clip turns into evidence for somebody's theory. And that's exactly what seems to be happening around Cleveland right now. Which leads directly into the next section. Because beyond the quarterback debate itself, growing rumors about power struggles inside the Browns organization may be the real reason this situation feels increasingly unstable. And this is where the situation around the Cleveland Browns starts feeling much bigger than just a quarterback competition. Because more and more fans are beginning to believe the real issue inside Cleveland may be organizational confusion. Not talent, not effort, direction. Now, to be fair, NFL franchises deal with internal disagreements constantly. Owners, coaches, general managers, and coordinators rarely agree on every decision. That's normal across professional sports. But the Browns have become a magnet for speculation because so many major decisions over the past few years have already been publicly debated. And once Myles Garrett started questioning the team's trajectory openly, fans immediately began revisiting all those older controversies again. The Deshaun Watson contract, coaching changes, rumors about ownership involvement, questions about front office alignment. Suddenly, everything felt connected. Now here, where the speculation intensified online. Several personalities discussing the Browns suggested that ownership may have overridden football people on certain major decisions in recent years. Again, those are still rumors and interpretations, not confirmed internal reporting. That distinction matters. But fans latched onto those conversations immediately because they fit the emotional picture many already had of the franchise. An organization constantly battling itself internally while trying to project stability publicly. Now add in the coaching discussions. The transcript repeatedly references debates surrounding defensive leadership, coaching hires, and whether certain respected figures inside the building were overlooked or ignored. That became important because fans started viewing Garrett's frustration through that lens too. Not just as a player upset about losing, but possibly as a veteran frustrated by repeated organizational instability. Again, Garrett himself never publicly confirmed all those theories. But emotionally, many Browns fans already believe the warning signs have been visible for years. Now here's the dangerous part for Cleveland. Once fan bases start believing ownership chaos exists, every future decision automatically gets questioned. Every coaching move, every quarterback rep, every roster decision, everything starts looking political instead of strategic. And that creates enormous pressure on the organization internally. Now bring Shedeur Sanders back into this story, because he's become symbolic of a much bigger question. Are the Browns truly willing to move toward a new future if it means admitting previous decisions didn't work? That's the emotional debate happening online right now. Not just who is QB1, but does Cleveland actually know what direction it wants long-term? And honestly, that may be the biggest reason the atmosphere around this team feels so tense right now. Which leads directly into the next section. Because inside the locker room itself, the Browns increasingly feel like a team split between urgency, patience, and completely different expectations for the future. And honestly, this may be the most difficult part of the entire situation for Cleveland to manage. Because right now, the Cleveland Browns don't feel like a franchise operating on one unified timeline. They feel split between urgency and development, veterans and youth, win-now pressure and long-term uncertainty. Now, to be fair, almost every NFL team deals with some version of this tension. Veteran stars want immediate results. Young players are still learning. Coaches are balancing development with survival. That's normal football reality. But the Browns' situation feels amplified because so many emotional storylines are colliding at the same time. Myles Garrett publicly questioning the future. Deshaun Watson carrying massive expectations and uncertainty. Shedeur Sanders becoming a symbol of hope for parts of the fan base. All of those narratives create pressure inside a locker room, whether players admit it publicly or not. Now think about the defensive side specifically. Garrett and several veterans are operating with urgency. Championship urgency. These are players who know NFL careers move fast. They don't want another development year. They want clarity, consistency, real contention. And once veterans begin feeling like the organization itself might still be figuring out its direction, frustration naturally builds. Now compare that to the younger side of the roster. Rookies and younger players often operate differently emotionally. They see opportunity, competition, a chance to build something new. That energy can actually feel optimistic, even during unstable periods. And according to discussions surrounding minicamp, there's been a growing sense of excitement around some of the younger offensive pieces entering the building. That contrast matters, because one side of the locker room may feel pressure to win immediately, while another side feels energized about the future for the first time. Now here, where the quarterback situation complicates everything even further. Quarterbacks naturally shape locker room energy. Players notice who commands the huddle, who prepares consistently, who the organization seems to trust most. And when there's uncertainty at that position, the entire emotional atmosphere around a team becomes unstable. Again, there's no confirmed evidence the locker room is divided into pro-Watson or pro-Shedeur camps. That would be reckless speculation. But fans online increasingly believe different parts of the organization may want different timelines. And once that perception spreads publicly, tension grows even if the locker room itself remains professional internally. Now here, why the next phase becomes critical. Because eventually, off-season speculation has to collide with reality. Actual reps, actual attendance, actual competition. And that's exactly why mandatory minicamp suddenly feels so important now. Because once everyone is finally in the building together, the Browns may be forced to reveal much more clearly where this franchise is actually heading. And honestly, this is where the entire offseason story finally becomes real. Because up until now, most of the drama surrounding the Cleveland Browns has existed in fragments. Interviews, rumors, practice clips, social media reactions. But mandatory minicamp changes everything. Because once attendance becomes required, speculation suddenly collides with reality. Now, to be fair, minicamp itself doesn't decide championships. Veteran attendance issues happen across the NFL every year. Contract disputes cool off. Players return. Teams move forward. That's normal. But this situation feels different because of how emotionally charged the Browns' environment already is, especially around Myles Garrett. Now think about the pressure Cleveland faces entering minicamp. If Garrett shows up fully engaged, many fans will interpret that as a sign the relationship with the organization remains salvageable. But if tensions continue publicly, the speculation around Cleveland's long-term direction could explode nationally. Because once superstar players openly question organizational vision, every major sports network starts paying attention. And the Browns already know that. Now bring the quarterback situation into this too. Because mandatory minicamp also means more public quarterback reps, more visible coaching interactions, more opportunities for fans and media to analyze every throw from Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders side by side. That's where the pressure becomes dangerous. Because if Shedeur continues generating excitement while Watson still faces uncertainty, the external noise surrounding the organization could become overwhelming very quickly. Again, that doesn't mean the Browns are planning some immediate quarterback change. There's no confirmed evidence of that. But emotionally, many fans already feel like the franchise is approaching a crossroads. And minicamp may become the first moment where that tension becomes fully visible publicly. Now here's the fascinating part. This situation isn't really only about football anymore. It's about trust. Do veterans trust the organization's direction? Do fans trust ownership decisions? Does the coaching staff truly believe the current roster structure can contend soon enough? Those are the deeper questions hanging over Cleveland right now. Now add in the national attention. Because once a franchise combines quarterback uncertainty, star player frustration, ownership criticism, and a highly polarizing rookie prospect, the media spotlight intensifies immediately. That's exactly where the Browns are heading. And if minicamp creates even one viral moment, a Garrett comment, a quarterback clip, a visible sideline interaction, the entire conversation could accelerate again overnight. Which leads directly into the final thought. Because at this point, the Browns' situation may no longer be about one player, one coach, or even one season anymore. It may be about the identity of the entire franchise moving forward. Right now, the Cleveland Browns don't look like a normal franchise dealing with ordinary offseason drama. They look like an organization standing at a crossroads. And honestly, that's why the emotions surrounding this story keep growing every single week. Because this isn't only about Myles Garrett skipping workouts anymore. It isn't only about Deshaun Watson facing pressure. And it isn't only about the excitement building around Shedeur Sanders either. All those storylines have merged into something much larger. A franchise trying to figure out what it actually wants to become. Now, to be fair, plenty of the speculation surrounding Cleveland is still exactly that, speculation. Fans connecting dots. Media personalities interpreting body language. Internet theories growing faster than confirmed information. That distinction matters. Because internally, the Browns may still feel far more stable than the outside world assumes. But perception shapes pressure in professional sports. And right now, the perception around Cleveland feels incredibly fragile. Now think about what's happening emotionally across the fan base. Some fans still want the original Watson vision to succeed. Others already believe the future belongs to Shedeur. Some trust the coaching staff. Others blame ownership for years of instability. That's not just a football debate anymore. That's a franchise identity debate. And once organizations reach that stage publicly, every decision starts carrying emotional weight far beyond the field itself. Now here's what makes the situation so fascinating. Despite all the chaos, tension, and uncertainty, there's still genuine hope around this roster. That's the surprising part. Because many Browns fans believe the talent is actually there. The defense, the younger offensive weapons, the energy around the rookie class, the possibility that Shedeur could eventually stabilize the quarterback position long-term. That hope keeps this story alive. Now here's the final reality Cleveland cannot escape. Eventually, the talking stops. The theories stop. The offseason narratives disappear. And actual football begins. That's when the Browns will finally have to answer the questions everyone keeps asking right now. Does the organization truly have a direction? Can the locker room stay unified under pressure? And most importantly, who exactly is going to lead this franchise into its next era? Because whether Cleveland likes it or not, the answer to that question may define the future of the entire organization for years to come.